Unit 4 project, the end of Unit 4. Okay, this one's lengthy and complex. Okay, one of the things under the text to copy and paste, rather than start the assignment with copying and paste this in, we're going to be copying and pasting it a little bit at a time. So let's switch over to our Google Docs tab. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to insert a table. Table, insert table. We're going to make that 1 by 5. And we're going to, in this top row, we're going to put in the first 2 lines of text. So I select them back from my online class page. Come on back to my Unit 4 tab. I'm going to paste this in. Now this is just another way of using a table to organize your data or information or text. And next we're going to change the style of this line, and we're going to make that title. We're talking about Personal Cloud from Wikipedia. We're going back to our Unit 4 project, and we're going to take up the next 2 paragraphs. Select the next 2 paragraphs. We're going to copy those in by right-clicking. Come back, and in the second row, right-click, and we're going to paste those in. Got an extra space at the bottom. We can hit backspace to get rid of that. Next, for the third row, do Online Cloud. We're going to copy that in. Select and copy, come back. It's a lot of back and forth between the 2 tabs, the Google Docs. I'm going to paste that. Change the style of this to subtitle. Online Cloud being one of the 4 primary types of personal cloud. And next we're going to copy the remainder of the last 2 paragraphs of text. Right click, copy, come back to our document, right click and paste. We have an extra space, we hit backspace to get rid of that. Okay, now we're going to put a drawing in the 5th row. So in my 5th row, got my insertion point there. We're going to insert, we're going to put a drawing. Now we're going to get our drawing images a slightly different way this time. The image button, which is the last one of the toolbar buttons in the drawing window. I'm going to click the image. What we're going to do is we're going to use some of these tools. There's a number of different tools you can upload, take a snapshot by URL or web address, different albums from Google Drive, but we're going to use the last one, the search. And I'm going to do, for this first one, I'm going to do cloud. And then I'm going to hit, I can either hit enter or hit this blue button. And we're going to get some pictures of clouds. I'm going to choose this one, it being colorful. Choose one that you're comfortable with. Click select. And I'm going to insert. Now I'm going to resize this one, as we're going to have a number of pictures we're going to put in here. Use the red alignment lines to line it up in the center. I'm going to repeat this sequence, going back and forth with the next few search terms. Okay, now it's already defaults to searching under Google. So I click on tablet, hit enter on my keyboard. I'm going to choose a cartoon. You're welcome to use photos. See if we can find a good representation of a tablet. I think I'm going to go the best one here in my selection. As a representation of a tablet, we can use this one of an iPad and click select. Give it a minute. Now notice this is much too big to fit, so we're going to have to resize it. I'm going to grab that top right corner, bring it down, make it a little smaller. I'm going to place it under the cloud on the left side. Click away, and we're going to put another image. This image, we're going to be looking for an image of a smartphone. Type in smartphone, hit enter. Let's choose a smartphone. Clicking on a smartphone. Or I kind of like this picture a little better, and we'll click on select. Bring that in. Again, much too big. I'm going to use my handle. And let's see if I can align this perfectly. There we go. And again, using those alignment at this point might be a little too early. So I have a picture of a tablet, picture of a smartphone, and the last one we're going to do a laptop. So I click back on image. Under search, let's bring that back up to the top. Delete the old smartphone search. Click on laptop, hit enter. Let's get a good picture of a laptop here. This is a good one right here. Notice I double clicked it. You don't have to hit select every time. You can also double click. Okay, so now I've got three pictures. I've got a tablet, I've got a smartphone, I got a laptop. And we may move these around a little bit, as you'll see. I'm going to actually give myself a little more space here, because we're going to be putting in some arrows. Okay. I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to click in the text box. Give myself a text box here, and I'm going to type in cloud computing. What we're going to do here is we're going to put a slightly larger, now notice my text is way too big for this. So luckily, I know that I can resize this. It's a picture of a cloud I'm not as worried about. We'll just make it a slightly skinnier cloud. And I'll do the same so I can fit all my text in. So clicking away, I've got cloud computing in the middle of my cloud. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some arrows, some two-way arrows, kind of representing the flow of data from my tablet to the cloud and back, my smartphone to the cloud and back, and my laptop to the cloud and back. So coming up here to shapes, I'm going to do an arrow. I'm going to do an up-down arrow. I'm going to draw it. Okay, I can always make that a little bigger if I need. Notice I can also use my rotate. Let's rotate so that's pointing right there. Okay, so we've got an arrow representing the flow of data from my tablet to the cloud. Let's do the same for the other two. So I click on shape, arrows, another up-down arrow, and do one more, clicking away from it to deselect, and then I'm going to go back to my shape button. Arrows, another up-down arrow. Let's draw one from the laptop. Make these a little bigger. Rotate them a little bit. Make this a little bigger. Kind of showing the flow of data. Now, not only are we going to show the flow of data, we're going to label our arrows now. So I'm going to take my text box. I'm going to put a text box out on the side here. Notice that it's showing, when it's showing all the handles, if I use the keyboard shortcut Control-C, and then I click away from it and do Control-V, I will get a copy of it. So try that. With the text box selected, you use your keyboard, Control+C, click away, and Control+V to paste. So it gives me 3 examples. You can also do it by clicking up on text box. But this is just a much faster way of doing things. Becoming proficient at copy and paste is very important. So I'm going to take this, put data right there in the middle of the arrow, but I'm going to use my handle to rotate and move it around. Kind of a little tricky sometimes. Click away. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just putting our data, labeling our arrows, using our rotation, working on these skills. Okay, there's data labeled in that arrow. Do your best. Just doing this kind of quickly. I'm going to move that down a little bit. Okay, so we've got our 3 arrows showing the flow of data from the cloud back and forth to our tablet, our smartphone, and our laptop. Okay, so when you're satisfied and with your drawing, you're going to save and close. Now notice this shows up in the bottom row, or it should show up in the bottom row of the table. I can click on this. I can also align this center, make it a little more aesthetically pleasing. Now, what we're going to do for the final part, well, we're using the table for organization. We don't necessarily want the border. So for the final step, what we'll do is right-click in the table. We'll go to Table Properties. Under Table Border, we'll make it a white table border. White on white becomes invisible. So we're using the table to organize our information, but you just can't see the table. Okay, when you're satisfied, check against the 5 key. And that is the Unit 4 project.